League style from the Motor City, where last night against the powerful Braves lineup, Anibal Sanchez put on a record-setting show.
You are absolutely right, Matt. What a performance by Anibal Sanchez. Sets a Tigers franchise record by striking out 17 Atlanta Braves in Detroit's 10-0 victory. This afternoon in the Motor City, it's the second of this three-game Digital League series. The first place Braves and the Detroit Tigers. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Fox Saturday Baseball. Kenny Albert along with Hall of Famer Tim McCarver. Tigers will send Rick Porcello to the mound today. He hopes some of the magic rubs off from Sanchez's performance last night.
He hopes that. It certainly wasn't magical for Rick last Saturday. He gave up 9 runs in the first 2/3 of an inning. And the one thing Rick is trying to keep in mind, you've heard that expression, how a pitcher's got to use his defense. Rick Porcello's got to use his offense, knowing that he's got one of the best offenses behind him, and they're going to score a lot of runs. So don't be perfect, just be good.
Well, the Tigers offense put up 10 last night against the Braves, who come in with the best record in the National League at 15-7. Justin Upton having an MVP month of April.
Talk about an immediate impact. A franchise record for home runs in the month of April. He has become must-see TV in Atlanta, so stay tuned for every at-bat by Justin Upton.
Do not turn that dial. Braves lead all of baseball with 35 home runs, going up against the high-flying Tigers, who scored 10 last night against Atlanta. Braves and Tigers next on Fox. Degrees and sunny. Tigers hosting their 11th annual Negro Leagues weekend, so both the Tigers and the Braves wearing throwback uniforms today. Atlanta comes in with a record of 15-7, best in the National League. Their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Shortstop Andrelton Simmons will lead off, followed by the second baseman, Dan Uggla. Justin Upton hits third. Freddie Freeman in the cleanup spot. Then the hot-hitting Chris Johnson. Evan Gattis bats sixth. Bottom of the order, B.J. Upton, the center fielder. The designated hitter, Juan Francisco. And the right fielder, Jordan Schaefer, as the Braves get set to face 24-year-old right-hander Rick Porcello.
Yeah, you can see that bulging ERA of Rick. Most of that happened last Saturday in 2/3 of an inning. He gave up 9 earned runs, so he's trying to forget that, what happened against the Angels in Anaheim last week, and trust your offense, because as the Tigers proved last night, they're going to score a lot of runs in most games this year.
His last start, his shortest career outing, allowed 9 hits, but 8 of them were singles. 3 did not get out of the infield. As we check out the Tigers defensively, brought to you by Scotts, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Victor Martinez at first today. Prince Fielder will DH. Infante, Peralta, and Cabrera around the infield. Tuiasosopo in left, Jackson in center, Hunter in right. The battery of Porcello and Avila. The opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. The Atlanta Braves visiting Detroit for only the second time. Tigers won 2 of 3 from the Braves back in 2004. A 10-0 Detroit victory last night. Manager Freddie Gonzalez, Braves got off to a great start. They won 10 consecutive games between April 5th and 16th. Started the season 12-1, but have won just 3 of their last 9. And Jim Leyland wearing his Detroit Stars throwback uniform. Tigers, like the Braves, got off to a hot start, 9-5, but Detroit winning just 2 of their last 7.
Jim Leyland seeing one of the great pitching performances in recent years last night by Anibal Sanchez with 17 strikeouts to set a Tiger record. It was a magnificent performance by Anibal.
Mickey Lolich struck out 16 for the Tigers twice during the 1969 season. So he moves down to number 2 and 3 in the franchise record book. First pitch from Rick Porcello to Andrelton Simmons, a called strike. 0-1. Braves have not gotten much production from the leadoff spot this season. Leadoff hitters batting just 171 for Atlanta. Fastball in for strike 2. To Simmons in the dirt. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's a curveball by Rick Porcello. I was talking to Jeff Jones, the pitching coach, yesterday, and he said for the most part they have canned that slider, and he's going more to the curveball. So the breaking ball going down, more like Anibal Sanchez last night. He had that curveball working throughout that 17 strikeout performance.
17 strikeouts in 8 innings for Sanchez.
Yeah, I was going to say complete game, because if a guy strikes out 17, you think he goes 9, but he only went 8 last night. Had Leyland left him in there, a chance to tie a major league record of 20 Ks.
Simmons thrown out by the shortstop, Donnie Peralta, for out number 1. So as we mentioned, the 11th annual Negro League weekend. Braves wearing the uniforms of the Atlanta Black Crackers, who played their home games, Tim, at Ponce de Leon Park, and the Tigers wearing the uniforms of the Detroit Stars, a charter member of the Negro National League.
Ponce de Leon Park in Atlanta, across from the old Sears and Roebuck. In those days, it was Sears and Roebuck, not just Sears.
Right. Strike 1 to Dan Uggla. So Porcello has gotten out in front of the first 2 hitters he has faced today. Uggla batting just 174. He struck out 4 times last night. 4 of the 17 strikeouts recorded by Sanchez, and The 17 strikeouts match the record, Tim, for the most by a pitcher in 8 innings or less since 1900. The last to do it, Johan Santana of the Twins in 2007. Slow roller to the right side. Porcello takes the flip from Martinez for out number 2. So Justin Upton will step to the plate with the bases empty. He's hit 11 home runs, and 10 of them have been solo shots.
And 7 have been with 2 strikes. That's no easy task because most hitters try to guard the plate with 2 strikes. That robs them of their power. But not Justin Upton.
You had a look at his numbers a moment ago. It is not often that you see a player with 11 home runs and 16 runs batted in.
Yeah. Well, the reason for that, the big reason, is that 10 of those 11 were solo shots.
He has 2 more home runs than singles. 9 singles, 5 doubles, 11 home runs for Justin Upton. The 0-1 from Porcello, missing low and away, now 1-1. He leads all of baseball with the 11 home runs. It's a team record for the month of April. The major league record for home runs in April is 14, held by 2 players, Albert Pujols in 2006 and Alex Rodriguez the next year.
Upton trying to hold up on that cutter from Rick Porcello. Couldn't do it. Right around the letters. Watch the swing. He has not had that type swing too often this year.
Two outs, top of the first inning. The 1-2 from Porcello, now 2-2.
That's the type swing, by the way, where you can hurt yourself. You hear about those oblique strains when you try to hold up. There is such violence in the swing of major league hitters, and they are so built that tightly that's why you get those oblique strains with swings like that.
Upton called out on strikes to end the inning. So a 1-2-3 first for Porcello, who lasted only 2/3 of an inning in his start last Saturday. Thirteen pitches in the top half of the first inning. Tigers batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live boss. Austin Jackson will lead off, followed by Torrey Hunter. Miguel Cabrera hits third. Prince Fielder, the DH today in the cleanup spot. Then Victor Martinez Johnny Peralta will hit 6th. Then Matt Tuiasosopo, the left fielder. Catcher Alex Avila bats 8th, and Omar Infante 9th. As the Tigers face the 27-year-old right-hander with a record of 1-2 this season over his first 4 starts, Chris Medlin.
You and I had a chance to visit with Chris last night before the game and noticed that quiet confidence of Chris Medlin. That's the one thing you're impressed with. The changeup, very, very important, said Freddie Gonzalez. And why is he a Gold Glove fielder in the making? He signed, of course, with the Braves, but he was drafted by the Rays originally as a shortstop and didn't sign. So he is a very, very good fielding pitcher.
He was a second baseman in college, switched over to shortstop, and had a tremendous season last year. He was the National League Pitcher of the Month, not only in August, but September as well. Facing Austin Jackson, who went 1 for 5 in last night's game. The Tigers center fielder. And Medlin falls behind 3-0. How about that? A 1.2 earned run average since last July's All-Star break.
Remarkable.
He walks Austin Jackson on 4 pitches, so the leadoff man is on for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 1st inning. As we check out the Braves defensively, brought to you by Scott's, official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Around the infield, Freeman, Ugla, Simmons, and Johnson. Uptons in both left and center field, Jordan Schaefer in right. The battery of Medlin and Evan Gattis. So Austin Jackson on at first. He has 5 steals this year, has not been caught. Torrey Hunter at the plate. 5 consecutive balls to start the game, thrown by Chris Medlin. Torrey Hunter, 3 hits last night, drove in a run. He scored 2. As Jackson is picked off at first.
We talked about Gold Glove possibilities, quick feet. That's why he was such a good shortstop, but you can't get picked off in a situation like this. 5 straight balls from Medlin. And Austin Jackson did what Chris Medlin couldn't do, and that was making out at first base.
So now the base is clear with 1 out. As Medlin misses inside, that is now 6 consecutive balls. On the ground to the shortstop, Simmons. So just like that, after the leadoff walk, 2 away and the base is empty.
How many times does a pitcher throw 1 strike out of his first 7 and get 2 outs? And it's because of that quick feet pickoff move of Austin Jackson, and that's why you can't get picked off in a situation like that. You're not running anyway because he hasn't thrown a strike yet. So a mistake by Austin Jackson.
Now Miguel Cabrera steps in, working on a 10-game hitting streak. He takes the first pitch from Medlin for a called strike, 0-1. Triple Crown winner last season of the American League. Fouled off to the left side, 0-2 on Cabrera, who went 2 for 4 in last night's game. Scored 2 runs, drove in a run. He's second in the American League, behind his teammate Torrey Hunter with a batting average of .368. The 0-2 from Medlin. Cabrera stays alive.
There aren't too many major league hitters where the count doesn't matter. Not only is he a great 2-strike hitter, but you talk to Jim Leyland. Leyland will say it doesn't matter. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 0-2. Same guy, because he makes contact on bad pitches. Really doesn't strike out that much for a guy with that much power. He's the best hitter in the game, I think. It's arguable too. You don't know. Pujols, Josh Hamilton when he's going well.
fouled off the last 4 pitches from Medlin. With 2 outs, bottom of the first inning in Detroit. Time called by the home plate umpire Brian Knight. Prince fielder waiting on deck. Should Cabrera reach? Another foul. Ryan Knight behind the plate. The crew chief and Isonia at first. Mark Carlson out at second, and Mike Malinsky is the third base umpire. Right field, Jordan Schaefer. So Medlin allows the leadoff walk, gets out of the inning. Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. And by Taco Bell, sometimes you gotta live boss. Kenny Albert, Tim McCarver back in Detroit. Tim, time for our Ford keys to the game.
It's pretty easy for the Atlanta Braves. They lose 10-0, 17 strikeouts in last night's game, so forget about it. As far as the Tigers are concerned, remember how you did it less than 24 hours ago.
A 10-0 Tigers victory behind those 17 strikeouts from Sanchez. Freddie Freeman at the plate. He struck out 4 times last night. Braves actually struck out 18 times in the game as Bruce Rondon came on in the 9th inning and recorded 1 final strikeout for the Tigers. Freeman batting cleanup today. Came off the disabled list earlier this week. He had one of those oblique strains you referred to earlier. One and 2 on Freeman. Porcello retired the Braves in order in the first inning on 13 pitches. He did not get out of the first inning last Saturday through 47 pitches. In that inning, allowed 9 runs on 9 base hits. Better start today for Porcello. Freeman sends this one into left field, moving to his right to make the plays Tuiasosopo for out number 1. Well, all or nothing for the Braves this season. They lead all of baseball, 35 home runs. 52% of their runs have come via the long ball. 15-0 when they homer.
How about that?
0-7 when they don't. Pretty clear cut, huh? No home runs last night. In fact, no runs for the Braves. It was their 7th loss. In 4 of those 7 defeats, they've been shut out.
They lose the 3 games against Pittsburgh last weekend, and then won the day-night doubleheader in Colorado. Lost the 3rd game, and then lost in their first game to the Tigers last night.
How about the job Chris Johnson's done this season? Came over in the deal from Arizona along with Justin Upton.
He's the guy you forget about. I mean, Justin Upton has been superb through the month of April, but Chris Johnson enters the game batting .403. So it was Upton and Johnson coming from the D-backs, and both have been red hot. And how many times do you trade for a number 3 and number 5 hitter? There you go.
Johnson leads all of baseball with his .403 average. We have Torrey Hunter, who leads the American League, on the other side, and Justin Upton with the Major League leading 11 home runs. The shortstop, Peralta. So Chris Johnson is retired, 2 away here at the top of the 2nd inning. So here's Evan Gattis. What a start to the season. Gattis has gone deep, Tim, in each of the first 5 ballparks in which he has played. First Major League player to accomplish that since at least 1921. That's as far back as the records go from Stats LLC. Gattis with 6 home runs, 13 runs batted in. What a story. We'll talk about Gattis throughout the afternoon.
I was going to say his baseball story is only rivaled by his personal story and his personal jobs.
Gave up baseball for a number of years, went back to college down in his home state of Texas. He's 26 years of age, filling in for the injured Ryan McCann. He's thrown out by Cabrera. So Porcello has retired the first 6 Braves he has faced this afternoon. Chevrolet is sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Bottom of the second inning here at Comerica Park in Detroit. Only one base runner in the game so far. Austin Jackson back in the first. A leadoff walk issued by Chris Bedlin, who then picked him off first. So Prince Fielder leads things off for the Tigers here in the bottom of the second inning. Prince leading the club in both home runs and runs batted in. Prince, Tim, playing in his 365th consecutive game today, the equivalent of one full calendar year.
First time as a DH
First time as a DH. Started the first 21 games at first base. But that streak, 365 consecutive games, that is first among active players. Fourth in runs batted in all of baseball. Now 1-2 on Fielder. He was 0 for 3 last night. Drove in a run, walked twice, struck out twice. Fielder, Martinez, and Peralta here in the second. First strikeout for Chris Bedlin.
That was a great sequence from Medlin to Fielder. First pitch is low with the fastball. Then the changeup is fouled away. Good changeup there, and he doubles up and comes back with a fastball. Medlin, for the most part, works off fastball, changeup. Pretty good breaking ball, but not to left-handed hitters. Here's a good left-handed hitter. Good switch hitter right here in Victor Martinez,
who missed the entire 2012 season. 3 hits last night for Martinez. He drove in 2 runs. Most of these Tiger batters facing Medlin for the first time. Only Cabrera and Avila have a prior history with Medlin. 2-1 on Martinez with Johnny Peralta waiting on deck. 1 out, bottom of the second inning with no score.
It's remarkable when you consider medicine and how Tommy John surgery has changed baseball over the last 2 decades. I guess Tommy John, his surgery back in the middle 70s, and how it's improved. Medlin, Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago, and he's throwing better now than he did before the surgery, and that's the case with most pitchers. From what I understand, you talk to them, they don't have the pain that they had before.
And Medlin told us that's really the only injury he's ever had. His entire baseball career.
Yeah.
He underwent the surgery in August of 2010. Started last year in the bullpen. He was sent down to the minor leagues for a bit. Came back. Braves inserted him into the rotation in late July. And he is 10-2 as a starter since then. In fact, you look at Medlin over the first 34 starts of his career. Remarkable numbers. The Braves have won 28 of those 34 starts.
And 23 in a row, a major league record. 23 games in a row with Medlin on the mound.
Base hit into left field off the bat of Martinez. First hit for either side today, so the Tigers have a 1-out base runner here in the second inning.
Victor going with the pitch as he did on 3 occasions last night, not trying to pull the ball, and that's a 2-strike approach. We were talking about that earlier. Joe Torre used to say with 2 strikes, never let a pitcher get you out away. And that obviously was Victor Martinez's approach there. Fastball away, served it to left.
So with Martinez on at first, here's Johnny Peralta. Batting .313 this season. Takes a called strike. 0-1. Peralta 2 for 3 with a pair of walks last night. Sends this to deep left field. Upton looking up. It's out of here. Home run number 2 on the season for Johnny Peralta. The Tigers take a 2-0 lead.
That was a pitch on which the catcher, Evan Gaddis, wanted to stick his glove out and interfere with. You talk about a hanger right around the letters, a breaking ball. Peralta knew it, and did he do some major damage on that hanger? You're almost clairvoyant as a catcher in a situation like that because you know it's going to be hit hard, and it was.
So the Tigers strike first. They have now outscored the Braves 12-0 in this series. Matt Tuiasosopo at the plate. A career night for Matt last night. 2 for 4, a 3-run homer, and he drove in a career high 5 runs.
And it earned him a start this afternoon against the right-hander. Jim Leyland telling us comically before the game, hey, it's pretty simple. If you hit, you play. And he hit, so he's playing. Jim has such a way of cutting through things and getting to the point.
2-2 from Medlin, right field. Schaefer under it for out number 2. And now the Own Your Space pitcher profile brought to you by Avis. Chris Medlin's career numbers on the road. Record of 13-4 in 18 starts away from Turner Field. Medlin and the Braves trailing today 2-0 as Peralta took him deep here in the second inning. 2 outs. Here's the catcher, Alex Avila. Avila batting just .177 this season. An all-star 2 years ago.
It's the battle of the new fathers. Alex Avila and his wife Christina, little baby girl a couple of months ago, actually this month. And Chris Medlin and his wife Nicole had their first child in February. Max Michael Medlin, MMM.
Chris told us Max trying to roll over at last report. He says, just like me, he can't stay still.
11 weeks old is Max Michael Medlin.
Now, Freddie Gonzalez told us the only time he has ever seen Chris stay in one place was in the cold in Colorado.
Last Tuesday in his last outing. Actually, it wasn't an outing. But because it wasn't an outing, he was over near the heater trying to stay warm.
Yeah, the dugout in Denver. He strikes out Avila, so Medlin wins the battle of the new fathers.
Right.
But Peralta took him deep. 2-0 Detroit. baseball presented by Chevrolet. From Comerica Park, hometown Tigers out to a 2-0 lead, top of the third inning. Kenny Albert, Tim McCarver, as B.J. Upton will lead off for the Braves against Rick Porcello. And we are joined live from the Tigers dugout by Detroit right-hander Max Scherzer, who will pitch again on Monday against Minnesota, as Porcello delivers. Missing low and away, ball one. Max, thanks for joining us. Now, last May, you struck out 15 Pirates in a game. What was it like last night watching your teammate Anibal Sanchez strike out 17 Braves?
Sanchez was unbelievable last night. I thought the best thing he did was he threw strike one and strike two as well as I've ever seen anybody ever throw. You know, hitting's tough when you have 2 strikes on you. When he was consistently the whole night ahead of everybody, and with his stuff, when you can pitch like that, I mean, it wasn't a shock to see him strike out 17.
We talk about that all the time, Max, about staying ahead and how important that is. And last night, yet again, proved that to be true.
Oh, to the T. I mean, that's the reason why you get ahead, because, I mean, these are very good hitters in the Atlanta Braves. And to watch Sanchez pitch, to get ahead of him and then be able to use all of his pitches whenever he wanted was just a thing of beauty last night.
Here's the 1-2 from Porcello to B.J. Upton. Bounce to the left side. Cabrera charging. And Upton beats the throw, safe at first. And Max, when you talk about this, the Braves squad, a former teammate of yours in Arizona is BJ's brother, Justin Upton, as we take another look at the play. And I would think that you were not surprised by what Justin has done so far this season for Atlanta?
No, not at all. He's such a tremendous talent, and what he's able to do at the plate. And the other thing is, when he gets hot, he gets red hot. And you know, for him to jump out and hit 11 home runs here in April already, I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Here is a hitter that is tremendously strong, 6'3", 240-pound Juan Francisco. Tremendous home run in Denver the other night. But a guy who, in my opinion, is a dangerous hitter for a guy like Porcello, because he likes the ball down, and to be effective, Rick's got to keep the ball down.
Francisco also has the longest home run in the history of Great American Ballpark.
That's right.
In Cincinnati at 502 feet.
Oh, my gosh.
How about that?
Can we talk about something else?
I know you're pretty happy you weren't on the mound for that one.
No, I'm happy I wasn't.
Now, Max, I'm not sure if you caught the open of the Fox game 3 weeks ago, the first Saturday this season, when my partner, Tim McCarver, threw some pretty high praise your way. He felt that you would be a leading contender for the Cy Young Award this season, so you have some pretty high expectations to live up to.
Not trying to embarrass you, Max, but I really feel like your maturity and your stuff it's the perfect storm for a pitcher, and I do believe that you are the leading candidate in the American League for my Cy Young Award this year.
Well, thanks for the pick. My things always get better, so whoa.
That was close.
That was close. Can I see a replay?
Sure. You need a monitor down
there. Yeah, where's the monitor? Get some instant replay in baseball.
Max getting set for his second career as a TV director, calling for replays now.
I'll tell you what, Max, it was close at first base.
Okay, it was close, but he was safe?
It looked like he was back in there.
Okay,
yep.
Okay. I'm okay with it.
So Upton again takes his lead off first with nobody out.
Dangerous count right here to a strong hitter.
And Francisco fouls it off to the left side. We're joined by Max Scherzer of the Tigers. Max, how about the competitiveness amongst your rotation with Justin Verlander and Doug Fister, Sanchez, yourself, and Rick Porcello?
I mean, it's great. We got 5 guys that can go out there every single day and you know, give the team a chance to win. I mean, it doesn't matter who's on the mound, and you know, we go about it in different ways, but at the end of the day,
Upton goes. Here's the throw down.
Got it. There
Second, he is out.
Yeah, we don't need replay for that one. Yeah, but you know, the whole staff. I mean, we're all very good major leaguers. We've been in the league for numerous years now, so you know, you can count on us, and I think that's going to be one of the reasons why we're going to be a good team this year.
If you're just tuning in and you notice bias from our announcers, by the way, that was Max Scherzer in the dugout and not me.
Of course I got bias.
Of course you do.
And now Francisco takes ball forward. Max, I have to commend you. Not only were you calling for replays a moment ago, but you knew to pause when you saw B.J. Upton on the move to let us make the calls.
Yes. You got to defer. You got to know in these situations who the play-by-play guy is.
Definitely ready for a second career, Max.
Well, thank you.
So with Francisco down at first, here is Jordan Schaefer, the number 9 hitter. Max, thanks for taking a couple of minutes with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Best of luck, not only the remainder of this season, but in your future career in the TV business.
Thank you.
A lot of fun, Max. Thanks very much.
All right. And now a base hit past the diving Peralta into left field off the bat of Schaefer. So the Braves with 2 on, only 1 out, and the top of the order coming up. Tremendous job, Tim, by Max Scherzer.
Oh, terrific.
Calling for replays, pausing when Upton attempted to steal second. I think he's ready.
Well, you know, baseball players are exposed to so much television, and it's rare that you go through a clubhouse and you don't hear a critical word about an announcer here and there.
That's right.
If you know what I mean, Kenny.
We won't name any names.
No. That's great, though.
And we will chat later on in the broadcast with
another great right-handed pitcher, Tim Hudson.
Tim Hudson, who in his next start will aim for career victory number 200.
That'll be on Tuesday night when the Atlanta Braves host the Washington Nationals.
They'll be matched up with left-hander Gio Gonzalez, who pitched on Fox last Saturday in New York. Lasted only 4 innings, but a much better start his last time out.
How about the Nationals? 2 1-hitters in a row against the Cincinnati Reds. Thursday night they won 8-1 and 1-0 in last night's game in Washington against a very, very good ball club, the Cincinnati Reds.
Nationals trail these Braves by 3.5 games in the National League East as Simmons sends this one towards the line and right. It bounces in. Runners held as the Torrey Hunter came close to making the play. So the bases are now loaded with 1 out, and Dan Uggla coming up.
Juan Francisco, being the lead runner at second base, wasn't sure whether this ball was going to be caught or not. So it's only a single, not a double, as Francisco has to stop at third base. And instead of second and third, 1 out and 1 run in for the Braves, the bases are loaded because Francisco is not a fast runner, but he was understandably caught in between right there, looking Jordan Schaefer and realizing the bases are loaded.
So Rick Porcello, after retiring the Braves in order in each of the first 2 innings, has allowed 3 hits and a walk here in the third. Dan Uggla grounded out to the first baseman Martinez, his first time up, as Porcello falls behind 2-0.
We've had 2 plays in this game already, and we're only in the 3rd inning. The pickoff of Austin Jackson before a strike was thrown in the 1st inning, and then the caught stealing of B.J. Upton in this inning. Sometimes running can squelch a rally. It's what it's done for both teams so far.
Porcello behind now 3-0. Nowhere to put Dan Uggla. Bases full of Braves with Justin Upton looming on deck.
And a guy with 213 home runs since 2006 at the plate.
Takes ball 4 inside. Francisco comes home. Braves have their first run of the game and the series. Now time for the Lowe's Never Stop Improving game break. We send it to Matt Fescursion. Matt.
Kenny, Reds and Nats. Dan Herron yet to record an out in the 6th inning this year, but it hasn't affected him at the plate. An RBI single opens the scoring. Denard Span would follow with an RBI knock, and Washington's trying to send the Reds to a 1-8 road record to start the season. Kenny and Tim, back to you guys.
You think about this situation, Jeff Jones out to talk to Rick Porcello. You have the hottest hitter in baseball at the plate after a guy who gave up 9 runs in the first inning last week. And he had just walked the previous hitter on 4 straight balls. So you can bet that Justin Upton will be swinging on the first pitch if he gets a strike.
Still only 1 out. Bases loaded. Upton called out on strikes his first time up. Swings at the first pitch. Double play ball. Nope. It's bobbled and dropped by Infante. But the out is recorded. He had it long enough. So they get the force at second. A run scores. And we are now tied at 2.
In his haste, Omar Infante drops the ball. A good call by second base umpire Mark Carlson. Coming in, reaching in. The ball fell out of his glove. So they get the runner at second base, but the game is tied. I don't think they're going to get Upton anyway at first base. Too fast a runner, and he didn't hit it that well.
So now first and third with 2 outs for Freddie Freeman. Tigers scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Braves have come back with 2 here in the 3rd, still threatening. Center field, Jackson coming on, and it will drop. RBI number 9 on the season for Freeman as Simmons crosses the plate. The Braves now lead 3-2. So now with runners on first and second, here's Chris Johnson. Grounded out to the shortstop, Peralta, his first time up. Caught by Peralta to end the inning. But the Braves score 3 on Porcello in the 3rd, lead by 1. in the top of the third inning. Omar Infante will lead off for the Tigers, the former Brave. Working on a 4-game hitting streak, 7 hits in his last 17 at bats. Swings at the first pitch from Medlin, deep center field, and the catch is made by B.J. Upton for out number 1. Time now for a preview of tonight's NASCAR race. Prime time tonight on Fox.
That is Chris Myers. Hope you join us tonight, 7 Eastern, NASCAR on Fox from Richmond, Virginia. It's a race that Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt Jr. have each won 3 times, but it's short track racing, and that means tempers are likely to overheat. And Kyle Busch has dominated this race the last 4 years, so we hope you join us later tonight.
All right, thanks very much, Chris. Here's Austin Jackson, who walked back in the first inning and then was picked off by Medlin. One ball, 1 strike with 1 out. Bottom of the third inning. Jackson with a base hit into center field. So 1 out base runner for the Tigers here in the third.
Kenny, you had a great question for Chris Medlin, I thought, last night when we talked about him. You asked about Evan Gattis and how well he is working with him. And Chris said, well, you know, he's quite honest about it. He said, I was apprehensive, and he used that word. He said, because I was used to throwing to Brian McCann and to David Ross, who's now with the Red Sox. And he said, I was wary of what Evan might be like. He said, but he's attacked these scouting reports and done a very, very good job. And that's impressed Medlin. And so he was quite relaxed when he started throwing to him. Said he's done a very, very good job. You see a guy with all those home runs and everything, you think he's slack on defense, but he's not.
Medlin also told us that he did not throw to Gattis during spring training. They hooked up together for the first time during the regular season.
That's a little tough.
And by the way, Brian McCann, in his first rehabilitation start last night, hit a pair of 2-run home runs for the Braves Class A affiliate in Rome. They were playing in Greensboro, North Carolina. McCann went deep twice.
Pretty impressive. First at bats in about 6 weeks when they count for your confidence. Brian, I'm sure watching the game today with the AA team, Rome, Georgia.
Of course, the Braves' other catcher on their current roster is the former Tiger, Gerald Laird.
Yeah.
One and 2 on Torrey Hunter. And Hunter bloops one into right center for a base hit. Jackson on his way to third. So the Tigers with runners on the corners and only 1 out.
You know, you might say, well, that's a hit off the end of the bat. But if Hunter doesn't have this approach of the ball away, you're not going to hit that pitch. If you pull off that pitch just a little. So that's good hitting by Hunter. And what a perfect fit he has been for the Detroit Tigers. Popular wherever he goes. Hugely popular in Minnesota, then in Southern California. Standing ovation last weekend when he was announced. And now winning fans over in a big way in Detroit. What a player.
You could not have imagined a better start at the plate for Torrey Hunter, who leads the entire league in hitting. That base hit, his 35th hit of the season, which leads the American League. And how about Miguel Cabrera with runners in scoring position? Even better this year at 483. Well, in a couple of days, Miguel Cabrera will extend this to 8 consecutive months of a batting average of at least .295 and 20 runs batted in. He's already driven in 21, and his average is .368 coming into the game today. So I don't think there's any question on April 27th that that streak will continue.
You know, that's the one thing you rarely see is Cabrera questioning a pitch. Brian Knight, the home plate umpire. Miguel thought that pitch was inside, very close.
So 0-2. And then Cabrera goes up the middle. The toss to second could not be handled by Ugla. So Cabrera safe at first. Jackson scores from third. We are tied at 3.
I'm not sure how they'll score this, but it's doubtful they get the double play. A fine heads-up play by Simmons. Ugla tried to barehand the ball and dropped it. Hunter is safe, Cabrera is safe, and it's a tie ball game. Look at Ugla. He tried to barehand it, tried to throw it. I think it should be an error on Dan Ugla.
Well, it has been scored, a base hit.
That's a tough hit. But an RBI, I think it's an RBI, obviously. Because there's no way you're going to anticipate a double play. But 1 out should have occurred then, I think.
I agree. So 3 consecutive singles for the Tigers. Prince Fielder struck out his first time up. Fielder pops it up in foul territory. Gaddis makes the play for out number 2. Time for a game break at the MLB Network studios. Matt Vasgersian. Matt.
Kenny, to D.C. and the final Saturday of April has the makings of a long day for Reds right-hander Mike Leake as he trails 3-0 here on an Ian Desmond single, 4-0 after a throwing error, not even out of the third. Kenny and Tim, back to you guys.
Only 1 hit so far for the Reds today.
Yeah. They 1-hit the Reds on Thursday night. The only hit coming on a Joey Votto home run, and then a 1-0 game in last night game in Washington. They've only got 1 hit today. How about that?
Victor Martinez fouls off the first pitch from Medlin. Martinez singled back in the second inning, came around to score on the Johnny Peralta home run. Braves then scored 3 in the top of the third. Tigers with a run here in the bottom half. Left field, Justin Upton moving to his right. Inning comes to an end, but the Tigers score a run on 3 hits. We are tied at 3. Evan Gaddis will lead off for the Braves when we return. Tim McCarver. We move to the fourth inning. Atlanta Braves, Detroit Tigers are tied at 3 as Evan Gattis steps in to lead off for the Braves. And we are joined from the Atlanta dugout by veteran right-hander Tim Hudson. Tim, first of all, thanks for taking a couple of minutes. And what can you tell us that we might not know about your teammate Evan Gattis?
Well, obviously, he's a big bear. You know what, man? He's an unbelievable guy. I'll tell you his story and the route that he's taken to get here to the big leagues has been unbelievable. And obviously we're pulling for him, and I think everybody in baseball is too. He's a good guy. He's a great guy, and I love when he hits these homers.
Well, he's hit 6 so far, 1 in each ballpark he's played in. Grounded out his first time up today.
Talking about unbelievable, Tim, did you think when you started for the Oakland A's back 12 years ago that you'd be bearing in on 200 wins as you will be on Tuesday night?
Yeah, you know what? It's been I've been unbelievably blessed, to have played as long as I have and have the opportunity to win 200. It's amazing how fast time flies. It seems like I was just in Oakland. And here I am. This is my 9th season with Atlanta. So it's, I've been fortunate to be healthy. I've been fortunate to play on some really, really good baseball teams with some really good teammates. And, as a result, I've been able to put together some wins. And, atta baby, come on, keep going. Missed it.
Didn't get enough as Gattis flies out to the left fielder, Tuiasosopo. Now, we're taking a look, Tim, at some video prior to the game today. You look great, by the way, in the throwback uniform, but you were checking out a bat in the Braves dugout, and we talked to Freddie Gonzalez, your manager, before the game, and he told us that in your last win number 199 2 weeks ago against Washington, you were more excited about your 2 base hits against Steven Strasburg than about picking up the victory.
Well, we don't get to help ourselves too often, and he's a young stud right-hander who throws some cheese, and you know what? I've been known to get the bat hit out a little bit, and but it was fun. I enjoy it. I'm not near the athlete I used to think I was. There's no question about that. But it's nice to go up there and help your cause every now and again. And but I probably spend more time these days watching my at-bats on video than I do my innings pitched. I'll be honest with you.
Like you did at Auburn back in the late 90s, right?
Yeah, that was back when I was a real athlete.
And speaking of that, Tim, you still do a lot of work for the university, right?
Well, I live in Auburn now. I don't per se work for the university, but I enjoy going back and spending a lot of time around campus and going to football games. And, I love helping out with the baseball team in whatever ways I can. There's some good young talent down there. And, Coach Pulowski's done a great job with that program down there in Auburn. And, I enjoy going back and seeing these young guys and seeing how hungry they are and how passionate they are about the game of baseball. And, I'm excited to be a part of it in any way I can.
Here's the 2-2 to B.J. Upton, and he is called out on strikes. And Tim, speaking of good young talent, must be nice to have some of these guys, the Upton brothers, Chris Johnson, on your side. What a month Justin has had.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, he's been unbelievable. I knew he was a great ball player before he came over, just playing against him, man. But I'm going to tell you, he has really, really impressed me a lot more than I thought he would. He is just swinging the daylights out of the bat. And, obviously, it's unrealistic for him to keep this kind of pace up, but it's been a lot of fun to watch. He's pretty much carried us this first month. I mean, that's the reason why we're having such a good start to this year is because of him and what Chris Johnson's been able to do. I mean, he's been swinging a hot bat from day one, and it's we've started out well, but I feel like our better days are ahead of us as a team. We still have some guys that are still trying to find themselves right now, and we're going to have Brian McCann coming back pretty soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we're excited about it, but it has been fun watching him and BJ, both coming over and seeing those guys roam around the outfield together has been a lot of fun.
You're a good man, Huddy. Thanks a million for your time.
You guys are welcome anytime.
And good luck in going for number 200 on Tuesday night.
Thank you.
All right, Tim Hudson, always a treat to chat with Tim. And as we mentioned, he will be pitching for the Braves on Tuesday night as Francisco singles the right field. It will be Tim Hudson and Gio Gonzalez. Tuesday night, Braves and Nationals.
A lot of topspin on this ball hit by Juan Francisco. Victor Martinez diving for it. Infante couldn't come up with it, so a base hit with 2 outs for Francisco,
who reaches base for the second time. He walked and scored back in the 3rd inning. So now Jordan Schaefer, who singled and scored in the 3rd. One hopper to Martinez, not usually a first baseman, makes the play to end the inning. Tim Hudson loves swinging that bat.
Yes, sir.
Tied at 3 in Detroit. Braves and Tigers are tied at 3 as Johnny Peralta steps in to lead off against Chris Medlin. Peralta took Medlin deep his first time up. This one will stay in the ballpark as the second baseman Ugla makes the play for out number 1. So with 1 away, it's the Tigers left fielder Matt Tuiasosopo. We talked about his career game last night, 5 runs batted in. Remember his father Manu, defensive lineman in the National Football League. His brother Marcus was a quarterback with the Raiders and the Jets. Matt actually signed a letter of intent to play football. He spent 8 years in the Mariners organization. He was out of a job, Tim, during this offseason. He was in Buffalo last year, played for the Mets AAA team. So what did he do all on his own? He sent emails out to several clubs.
One of which was the Detroit Tigers. That's why he's in a Tiger uniform. We talked about Evan Gattis being such a great story. Matt can match him. They are 2 feet apart.
We take you back to last night's game as Tuiasosopo went deep. His first home run of the season. A 3-run shot off Paul Maholm. 6th career home run. And now in the bottom of the 4th inning, Tuiasosopo grounds out to the shortstop Simmons for out number 2. But Matt, not an agent, all on his own, emailed Vice President, General Manager Dave Dombrowski. And then received a call from Al Avila, Alex's dad, the Assistant General Manager. And 2 phone conversations later, the negotiation and contract process started.
Had such a good spring that Jim Leland and Dave Dombrowski were forced to take him north, and had a great game last night, and that's what earned him another start today.
So here's Alex Avila, whose father Al negotiated the contract with Matt Tuiasosopo. And like Alex, Matt, a new father as well, along with his wife Abby. They welcomed son Josiah on February 19th.
There's Al Avila, the assistant general manager of the Tigers, whose dad is watching in Miami, I'm sure, today. The famous Ralph Avila, who is in his early 90s and the proud great-grandfather of 5.
Wow. Grandson Alex at the plate. Takes strike 2.
Ralph Avila, the famous scout for the Los Angeles Dodgers for so many years, and signing some of the great talents in that organization, including Pedro Martinez.
His son and grandson pronounce their last name Avila.
Yeah, interestingly. And Ralph, who is from Cuba, still pronounces his name in the original Cuban pronunciation of Avila.
Full count with 2 outs, bottom of the 4th inning. Avila struck out his first time up. Tigers scored 2 runs in the second on the Peralta home run. And then Miguel Cabrera driving in a run in the 3rd. Payoff pitch from Medlin. Avila stays alive. Ball 4, so Avila heads down to first. Second walk issued by Chris Medlin today. So 2 outs, 1 on. Here's Omar Infante, fly to center his first time up. Tigers won last night's game 10-0 behind Anibal Sanchez, who struck out 17, a new franchise record. Today's game tied at 3. Nothing and 2 on Infante. Tigers have now had at least 1 base runner in 11 of the 12 innings in this series. Every inning but the 7th in last night's game. All 4 innings today.
Talking to Jim Leland before the game about how impressive Sanchez was last night. 14 of his 17 strikeouts were swinging strikeouts, and 11 of the 14 were on pitches out of the strike zone. So Jim said, you know, it's a classic case of getting ahead with strikes and getting them out with balls.
Infante, deep left field. It is out of here. The former Brave, Omar Infante, takes Chris Medlin deep for his first home run of the season. Tigers back on top 5-3.
Tried to go up with a fastball. It wasn't up enough. You could see Gaddis almost standing up behind the plate. And Infante, with home run number 1 on the year, puts the Tigers in front.
And now Austin Jackson with a base hit into left center. So, Tim, it has not been the top of the Tigers order that has done the damage today. Johnny Peralta, the number 6 hitter, with his second home run of the year. And now the number 9 hitter, Omar Infante, with his first.
Accounting for 4 of the Tiger runs.
Here's Torrey Hunter, 1 for 2 today. So Medlin retires the first 2 in the inning. And then how about the Avila 8-pitch at bat? Worked out a walk, which kept this inning alive. And then Infante follows with the 2-run shot.
Kind of know what Medlin and Gaddis were thinking. They were trying to throw that high fastball and not the letter high fastball. It went to the letters and popped it out.
And with Jackson on the move, Hunter is hit by the pitch from Medlin. So Torrey will head down to first base.
Torrey hit on the left tricep, it appeared. And now Roger McDowell, the pitching coach, out to talk to Chris Medlin.
So Medlin, after retiring the first 2 of the inning, issues a walk, then allows a home run, a single, and a hit batsman. So 4 straight Tigers have reached, all with 2 out.
You know, Kenny, I've never been a proponent of a catcher almost standing up asking for the high fastball. I think a hitter can see that, and certainly when he stands up like that, peripherally a right-handed hitter can see that standing up, and you know if it's going to be up, it's not going to be a breaking ball. So that in itself tells you what pitch is coming, perhaps.
Miguel Cabrera, 1 for 2 today, extended his hitting streak to 11 with an infield single in the 3rd inning, drove in a run, his 22nd run batted in of the season. Medlin has thrown 77 pitches, not yet out of the 4th inning. 0-2 on Cabrera. Johnson gets the force at second. Omar Infante, first of the year. Tigers lead 5-3. chance to win a Chevrolet Impala and a trip to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, visit ChevyBaseball.com. Top of the 5th inning in Detroit. Tigers lead the Braves 5-3 as Andrelton Simmons leads off against Rick Porcello. Simmons 1 for 2, singled and scored back in the 3rd inning.
If you're thinking that's an unusual first name, well, you're right. He is from the island of Curacao. Played for the Netherlands during the WBC. And Freddie Gonzalez making it a point talking about his clock, that he has a different clock than most young players, which is really high praise for the young shortstop of the Braves. An example of that was last night. In the 2nd inning, runners on at 2nd and 3rd, you're giving up the run. Not Simmons. He comes home to get Prince Fielder. Backhanded, no less. Freddie Gonzalez telling us today, I've never seen that play with the shortstop, second baseman back, either coming home in the early innings. The score at the time was 0-0, and when you play the infield back, you're giving up the run. But Simmons, with the wherewithal and knowledge of even more than a veteran player, taking the chance on the backhand and nailing Prince Fielder. Of course, Detroit wins the game 10-0, but it was a very, very important play for the development of a young shortstop.
And it certainly stood out in the mind of his manager, Freddie Gonzalez.
I'll say. Freddie's saying, I have never seen that before. And I started scratching my head. I don't think I have either.
Prince Fielder was pretty surprised.
Yeah.
Simmons gets a piece of it to stay alive. Top of the order for the Braves. Simmons, then Ugla, then Justin Upton. Braves scored their 3 runs in the 3rd inning. Tigers came back with 2 in the 4th. Rick Porcello looking for his first victory of the season, 0-2 over his first 3 starts for the Tigers. Long throw for the shortstop Peralta, but it is in time. Simmons out at first as we check in with Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a game break. Matt.
Kenny, Reds and Nationals, 20-year-old Bryce Harper continues to amaze. His 9th home run of the year, RBIs 17 and 18, set a Washington Nationals April RBI record. All Nats at home early on. Kenny and Tim, back to you guys.
Thanks, Matt. Tim, you and I had the opportunity to watch Bryce Harper last Saturday on Fox in New York. He went deep twice.
Davey Johnson telling us how he is a left-handed, he's a right-handed hitter in a left-hander's body, in so many words, meaning that there are a lot of left-handed hitters that have loops in their swings. Not so Bryce Harper. He's short to the ball, and he proved that last week with 2 home runs and a double, 2 extra base hits off left-handed pitchers. He is something.
9th home run of the season today. Tomorrow will be the 1-year anniversary of Bryce Harper's Major League debut with the Nationals.
I mean, think about it. He doesn't turn 21 until this coming October 16th, which is next October 16th. Huh.
And as we commented on the broadcast last week, he hopes to be playing baseball on October 16th.
Yes. That means he will be in the unless there's a rainout, the 4th game of the National League Championship Series.
Two and two on Ugla. Walked with the bases loaded back in the 3rd inning. Ugla strikes out for the 5th time in this series as we now take you back to the first out of the inning with Simmons at the plate.
We talked about Simmons and his play last night. What about Johnny Peralta backhanding the ball and just getting his counterpart at first base? Nice play.
So Peralta doing it both at the plate and in the field today. Hit a 2-run home run back in the 2nd inning. So with 2 outs and the base is empty, here's Justin Upton. Struck out in the first inning. Drove in a run on a fielder's choice in the third. Nothing in 2. .71 pitches for Porcello. Upton did not go around, says Dan Isonia. Now 2-2.
We talked about it in our opening, talking about how Justin Upton's at-bats have become must-see viewing in the Atlanta area. Atlanta baseball fans do not miss many at-bats. A guy who leads the majors in home runs with 11.
This will stay in the ballpark. Austin Jackson makes the catch. A 1-2-3 5th inning for Rick Porcello. Tigers with a 5-3 advantage. Find new roads. Kenny Albert, Tim McCarver back in Detroit. It is the 11th annual Negro Leagues weekend. And prior to the game, the Tigers paying tribute to 12 former Negro Leaguers during a special pregame ceremony. Frank Crossan, Charlie Davis, Melvin Buck Duncan, Minnie Forbes, Bill Hall, Gene Johnson, Walt Owens, Jake Sanders, Harry Saverson, Pedro Sierra, Ron Schoolboy Teasley, and Johnny Walker all on hand today. And both the Tigers and Braves wearing throwback uniforms representing the Detroit Stars and the Atlanta Black Crackers.
We were talking to Max Scherzer about the uniform earlier between innings, actually, before we talked to him during the inning. And he was talking about how comfortable those uniforms were today because it's a cool day, a 60-degree day. But I know how uncomfortable those uniforms can be on 95-degree days in cities like St. Louis and Cincinnati, those river cities.
Well, the temperature has risen here in Detroit over the Tigers' first 9 home games. You saw the average temperature down to the 40s as Fielder singles into right field, leading off the 5th against Chris Medlin. 65 degrees and sunny here today. So Prince Fielder on at first. Yes, Tim, he was named after the singer. His mom, a big fan of Prince, hit a home run at Tiger Stadium as a 12-year-old, and the only father-son combo to each hit 50. And I know that you know who the pitcher was when Prince went deep as a 12-year-old at Tiger Stadium.
Trivia quiz. He's now the manager of the Cleveland Indians. Who was he?
He was a coach with the Tigers at the time. The Indians will be here in early May in a couple of weeks. Do you think Terry Francona will be reminded and asked about that?
I will guarantee you he and Prince will talk about that. As a 12-year-old, a home run at Tiger Stadium off Terry Francona pitching batting practice. And there he was at that age. It's a big guy.
And you talk about things coming full circle. We saw his son Jaden in the Tigers clubhouse today, along with young Victor Jose Martinez.
Yep, who will be 9 soon.
Turned 9 this summer.
Yeah.
Son of Victor. Real family atmosphere here in Detroit with some of the players' kids running around the clubhouse a couple of hours before the game. Of course, they do not stay in the clubhouse during the game. Martinez, deep center field. B.J. Upton will make the catch as Fielder took a couple of steps towards second and then headed back to first. Well, Fox Saturday Baseball returns next week. 3 great matchups. Orioles head to Anaheim to take on Mike Trout of the Angels. Cardinals battle the Brewers in Milwaukee. Nationals square off against the surprising Pirates. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser returns next week at 3:30 Eastern. One away, here's Johnny Peralta. Homered back in the second inning. 2-run shot. We take you back to the second inning. Peralta giving the Tigers a 2-0 lead with his second of the year. Right field, Jordan Schaefer, 2 away. Now we take you back to the mid-90s. And there is Tigers coach at the time, Terry Francona, with 12-year-old Prince Fielder in the batting cage.
How great a shot is that? That's Jaden Fielder, Prince's son, taking batting practice yesterday.
Tuiasa Sopo takes a called strike. Oh for 2 today after he drove in 5 runs last night. Curve in for strike 2, 0-2 on Matt Tuiasa Sopo. Fielder led off the inning with a single to right. Martinez and Peralta both flied out. And now Tuiasosopo fouls it off to stay alive at 0-2. "5-3 Tigers, 2 outs, bottom of the 5th inning on a beautiful day in Detroit."
Standing room only. Hard to believe this franchise lost 119 during a major league season. The most, of course, the New York Mets in 1962 lost 120. But they've come a long way since that year of infamy back in 2003. Lost the World Series in 2006. Was in the World Series again last year. Lost to the Giants. But under Dave Dombrowski and Jim Leyland, they've made remarkable strides over the last decade. And
now a model franchise in Major League Baseball.
Owned by Mike Ilitch, who was a minor league baseball player. As a matter of fact, in 1954, the owner of the Tigers played for Pepper Martin in Miami.
There's a base hit to right field off the bat of Tuiasosopo. So fielder moves to second, and all 9 Tigers in the batting order have reached base today.
Mike Ilitch, 83 years old, and told Dave Dombrowski before the signing of Prince Fielder last year, sign him. I don't have much time left. He wants to win a World Series in the worst way. Of course, that's the case with owners of all major league teams.
Avila fouls off the first pitch. Of course, Ilitch also owns the Red Wings. They have won 4 Stanley Cups, and tonight, in their final game of the regular season, hope to qualify for the Stanley Cup playoffs for the 22nd consecutive season.
My goodness, I didn't know that. That's great.
Oh, 1-2. Avila fouls it off to the left side, 0-2.
That little note, by the way, brought to you by the radio voice of the New York Rangers,
who have
Kenny
qualified
Albert,
for the playoffs.
Who have qualified for the playoffs, right?
2 nights ago.
Blackhawks the best team right now?
They are.
You were in the restaurant where they brought the Stanley Cup.
That's right.
2 years ago, right? 2 or 3 years ago?
3 years ago with our producer, Jeff Gowen. Eric Karros was on hand. It was the night of the Blackhawks Stanley Cup parade earlier that day, and
wow,
we had dessert with the Stanley Cup.
Oh, man, what a thrill.
Rick Sutcliffe was at the next table.
About that. Sut, of course, working on the ESPN broadcast on Monday night with Aaron Boone and Dave O'Brien.
Now 2-2 with 2 on, 2 out. Bottom of the 5th inning here in Detroit. That last pitch, number 100, thrown by Chris Medlin today. And Avila strikes out. Tigers strand 2 in the 5th. Lead the Braves 5-3. Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. And by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. We move to the 6th inning in Detroit. Tigers over the Braves 5-3. Middle of the order for Atlanta, Freddie Freeman, Chris Johnson, and Evan Gattis against Rick Porcello. Lasted only 2/3 of an inning in his last start. Has a 5-3 lead pitching into the 6th here today.
I think because of that, Jim Leyland's already thinking about getting somebody up from the bullpen if the Braves get a couple of guys on to at least get Porcello out of there so he can only win the game and not lose it.
Infante to Martinez to retire Freeman. Major League Baseball and People Magazine are looking to salute our nation's finest. Baseball All-Star Game at Citi Field. To nominate, log on to tributeforheroes.com. One away, here's Chris Johnson. And Porcello, Tim, has matched his longest outing of the season, his first start in Minnesota back on April 4th, 5 1/3.
Yeah, that's the best way to erase what happened last Saturday when he gave up 9 earned runs, even though 8 of 9 were singles, 3 infield hits. But the results were horrible. And you got to pitch into July to get your ERA comfortable enough. And a game like today can do that. And that's what Jim's thinking, I'm sure. You know, get him out of there before where he can only win the game and not lose it.
Porcello now in his 5th season, a first-round draft pick back in 2007. He's won at least 10 games each of his first 4 years. Career high 14 victories in 2011. And he strikes out Johnson, strikeout number 4 for Porcello. Time for the Ace Hardware Helpful Player Profile, brought to you by Ace, the helpful place. Ace, one of the few places that Evan Gattis has not worked at. A look at some of his previous jobs. He was a parking valet.
The guys in our truck said there's still time.
That's right. He was a ski lift operator, worked at a youth hostel in New Mexico. Take you back to that list after this pitch.
Yeah, throw that list back up there, guys, if you would.
He worked as a cook at Yellowstone National Park. He was a pizza guy, a janitor in Dallas, a cart boy at a golf course, a caterer at PGA tournaments. What a life he has lived.
Lived in Santa Cruz, Taos, New Mexico. He's from Dallas originally. Spent a lot of time in Colorado. That's where his ski lift instructor's job came from. I told him he reminded me of that book by John Krakauer, Into the Wild. And I said, didn't Sean Penn star in that movie? He said, no, it wasn't Sean Penn. And I was sure it was. We found out Sean Penn directed that movie, Into the Wild, the Krakauer book.
Based on the travels.
Evan was right. Excuse me.
Yep. Based on the travels of Christopher McCandless across North America. He picked up his nickname in Venezuela playing winter ball.
Oso Blanco. Hit 16 home runs in 53 games in winter ball. He is some story.
And you saw his Twitter handle, his avatar, Tim. That's a little picture next to your name on your Twitter account. His avatar,
to explain that to me.
Yep, is the identification badge from the janitorial company. Took a picture of the ID badge. So if you log on to his Twitter account, that is what you would see.
What was the company, by the way? You know?
We'll have to check on that. It was in Texas, though, in the Dallas area. We will have an answer for you momentarily.
Okay.
Homered in his Braves debut, has hit 6. 1 in each of the first 5 ballparks he has played in.
And after all of those jobs, he was sitting around one day and said, you know what? I'm going to give baseball a shot.
And here he is. Gaddis 0 for 2 today. You talk about his 6 home runs, Tim. He's taken Roy Halladay deep. He's gone deep against Steven Strasburg for 2 of his 6. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the 6th inning with the Tigers leading the Braves 5-3. Gaddis strikes out. Tim, it was the Jan Pro Cleaning Systems Company, Plato, Texas.
I thought so.
I'm sure you did.
Washington's infield has had its trouble this year, but the new center fielder in D.C. is going to get some gold glove looks early. Denard Span robbing Joey Votto to keep a 6-2 lead in check. How about the Phillies and Mets? Dominic Brown started the day 5 for his last 26 before getting to fellow left-hander Robert Carson for his 3rd of the year. John Mayberry Jr. has also gone deep as the Phillies open up a big lead, and we send you back to Kenny and Tim.
All right, thanks very much, Matt. Here in Detroit, the Braves trailing by 2. Atlanta with a 3.5 game lead on the Washington Nationals in the NL East. And the Braves will return home for a 7-game homestand following this series. 4 with the Nationals and then 3 against the Mets. Omar Infante leading off for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 6th inning against Chris Medlin. Take you back to the 4th inning. First of the year for Infante. So Medlin has allowed 2 home runs to the number 6 and 9 hitters. Peralta coming into the game had hit 1 home run this season, and for Infante that was his first.
Omar Infante, one of the best number 9 hitters in the American League. This guy can really play. Mentioned the All-Star as a utility player in 2010 when the All-Star game was in Arizona.
Base hit into left field. Second hit of the game for Infante. So the leadoff man is on for the Tigers here in the 6th. Fox Sports sends our sympathies to everyone affected by this week's tragedies, both in Boston and West Texas. Please support onefundboston.org for those affected in Boston. A look at the cover, Tim, of Boston Magazine.
Oh, that is terrific. Those are running shoes in the shape of a heart. What a beautiful sentiment.
And the quote in the middle, we will finish the race. ...107 pitches for Chris Medlin. His career high is 111. Austin Jackson at the plate. He has reached base 3 times today. 2 hits and a walk. Al Albuquerque drew Smiley. And the Tigers pen as Jackson lays down the bunt. So Austin Jackson moves Omar Infante over to second.
When a third baseman charges the ball on a sacrifice, third base responsibility is the catcher. And you can see Evan Gattis perhaps realizing a little late that he was supposed to cover third base. But as the third baseman goes in, the catcher goes to third, and the sacrifice successful.
So that will be all for Chris Medlin. Third, he has allowed 5 runs on 10 hits, responsible for Omar Infante, the runner on second with 1 out, as Torrey Hunter steps in to face his former teammate with the Angels, Jordan Walden, the 25-year-old right-hander. Teammates the last 3 years in Anaheim.
2 years ago, Jordan Walden had 32 saves for the Angels. Mike Scioscia.
Fouled off to the right side, 0-2 on Torrey Hunter.
Walden coming to the Braves for Tommy Hanson, a starter. We were talking about that yesterday. Rarely do you see a trade in baseball where it's a starter for a closer. It's an unusual one-on-one trade, but that's what happened last winter between the Braves and the Angels. Of course, Craig Kimbrell is the closer for the Atlanta Braves, one of the best in the game. But if Kimbrell fails, and he won't unless he gets hurt, but you do have Walden, an experienced closer.
Another foul off the bat of Hunter. Check out Torrey's numbers during interleague play among active major leaguers. Third in runs batted in, fourth in home runs. Tigers with a 5-3 lead over the Braves as we welcome you into the broadcast booth. Kenny Albert, Tim McCarver. We talked in the open about Rick Porcello, and he has a 2-run lead for the Tigers coming off the poor performance last Saturday.
Yeah, he's erased that. He's erased what happened in Anaheim last Saturday. And I think that's exactly, we talked about it in the top of the 6th inning. I think that's what Jim Leland is thinking right now. I think Drew Smiley will be the pitcher in the top of the 7th. He may allow Porcello to go out and try to get the right-hander B.J. Upton, but 2 left-handers after that. I think Smiley is in the game in the 7th.
So a bounce-back performance by Porcello. Tigers knocked out the Brave starter Bedlin here in the 6th inning. Walden wins the battle with his Angels teammate Torrey Hunter. Now facing Miguel Cabrera, who takes the fastball for a called strike, 0-1. An excuse me check swing, charging is the shortstop Simmons, and the throw beats Cabrera to end the inning. 6 in the books in Detroit, 5-3 Tigers. Baseball presented by Chevrolet. We head to the 7th. Tigers lead the Braves 5-3. As Rick Porcello will face the bottom of the Atlanta order, B.J. Upton, Juan Francisco, and Jordan Schaefer. Porcello has retired the last 7 batters he has faced. On the first pitch, ground ball to the charging shortstop Peralta. He throws out Upton for out number 1. Anibal Sanchez struck out 17 Braves last night, setting a new Tigers franchise record. What a night here at Comerica Park. Jim Leyland out to the mound, and that will be all for Rick Porcello. And we talked about Sanchez and his 17 strikeouts in the open. We said Porcello hopes to continue the magic. Terrific start today for Rick Porcello, who exits in the 7th. Back in Detroit, left-hander Drew Smyly out of the bullpen on in relief of Rick Porcello, with the Tigers leading the Braves 5-3. Juan Francisco takes a called strike. 0-1. 7th appearance for Smyly. In case you joined us late, both teams wearing throwback uniforms on Negro Leagues weekend here in Detroit.
You know, the way this game is going, Kenny, you know that some managers in baseball, because Rick Porcello got a 1-pitch out with 2 left-handers coming up, some managers would go ahead and leave Porcello in there and maybe face one more batter before he brought the left-hander in. But regardless of what happened, Leyland was going to bring the left-hander in this inning.
Excuse me, Tim. That is last Saturday. Porcello back in the dugout after allowing the 9 runs in the first inning. And this is moments ago, chatting with Justin Verlander after a strong start today.
A bit of a different look on his face today, understandably. And that's, again, what Jim Leyland wants to do, is to take him out when he only has a chance to win and cannot lose, and that's exactly the case here in the 7th.
To Jordan Schaefer, missing low and away. Two ball, two strike count with 2 outs. Top of the 7th inning. There's Prince Fielder. He will lead off for the Tigers in the bottom half. As Schaefer strikes out. So Smiley faces 2 batters, strikes them both out. Justin Verlander taking the monkey off Rick Porcello's back. It's your space. And by Chevrolet. 5 new roads. Following the 7th inning stretch, with the Tigers leading the Braves 5-3. Prince Fielder will lead off for Detroit. Fielder today 1 for 3, singled his last time up back in the 5th inning, facing Jordan Walden, who came out in relief of Chris Medlin and retired both batters he faced in the 6th. Nothing in 2 on Fielder, with Victor Martinez waiting on deck. One, 2 from Walden, missing away. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Tim, you look at the top 5 in this Tigers order with Jackson, Hunter, Cabrera, Fielder, and Martinez. How about this quote from Torrey Hunter? The 4 tops sang the national anthem on opening day, but we've got the 5 tops at the top of our lineup. I love this lineup. It can be so explosive.
Particularly with Victor Martinez getting hot. 3 hits last night. 3 hits on Wednesday night when Kansas City was here. And then he had a hit his first time up today. So you get Martinez going, and that's a top 5 tops, if you will. That could be the top 5 top in baseball. They can hit.
Yet today it has been the bottom 4 who have driven in 4 of the 5 Detroit runs.
That's a rarity. You won't see that happen too often in Detroit wins, I don't think.
Peralta and Infante with 2-run home runs. Right field, long run for Schaefer. He's under it, 2 away. Well, Tim, the MLB Fan Cave is back. Recently, the Orioles' Chris Davis and Darren O'Day took part in a Fan Cave video shot in 1930s newsreel style, and they impressed fans with their skills. Go to MLBFanCave.com. Check out the entire piece along with other great Fan Cave videos. Also follow the MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like it on Facebook. I know you had the opportunity to visit the Fan Cave.
Been there a couple
ago.
times,
Yep.
yeah. Went there with Ken Rosenthal 2 years ago.
Johnny Peralta, 2-run home run, his first time up, 1 for 3 today. Tigers with a 5-3 lead. They won last night's game 10-0 behind Anibal Sanchez, who struck out a franchise record 17 in the 17,520th game in Detroit Tigers franchise history, as Peralta pops out to Simmons. We head to the 8th in the Motor City. Right-hander Joaquin Benoit, after Drew Smyly struck out the only two batters he faced after replacing Rick Porcello. So 7 strikeouts for Tiger pitchers today, 25 in the series. Braves struck out 18 times last night. There's Don Kelly, who replaces Tuiasa Sopo in left field for Detroit, as Andrelton Simmons leads off for the Braves, who trail by 2. So Benoit will face the top of the order: Simmons, Uggla, and Justin Upton. First pitch from Benoit is in the glove of Kelly, who just entered the game. 1 away. Tonight on Fox, Sprint Cup Series racing is under the lights. Daytona 500 champion Jimmy Johnson will look for his 4th career victory at Richmond International Speedway, while defending champion Kyle Busch tries to defend his title and get his 3rd win of the season. Fox Sports exclusive coverage of the Toyota Owners 400 begins tonight at 7 Eastern. As Dan Uggla steps in. One more note, Tim, on the 17 strikeout game for Anibal Sanchez last night. You and I were speaking prior to the game today, reminiscing about Bob Gibson's 17 strikeout game in Game 1 of the World Series in 1968. When you were behind
still
the
a
plate.
World Series record. Yep.
And then the next season, you were also behind the plate as Steve Carlton struck out 19 Mets. So we checked with Stats LLC, and there have been 8 catchers in history, and you were one of them, who have started multiple games in which a pitcher struck out at least 17 hitters. Damian Miller of the Diamondbacks, a record 4 games, 3 with Randy Johnson, 1 with Curt Schilling, when they struck out at least 17. 3 times for Ellie Rodriguez, twice for Johnny Roseboro, Andy Etchebarren, Dan Wilson, Jason Varitek, Chad Bowler, and Tim McCarver. At least 2 games behind the plate during which one pitcher struck out at least 17 hitters.
Well, the interesting thing about that 69 season, that was when Steve Carlton became the first pitcher to strike out 19, and he lost the game. 2 two-run home runs by Ron Swoboda. I can see those pitches now. One was a fastball, one was a slider, in tight on Swoboda. And the fact that he hit those balls out, I knew, in retrospect, of course, that the Mets were destined to win the World Series, and they did against Baltimore.
Uggla down on strikes for the 2nd time today. So with 2 away, Justin Upton. We take you back to Tuesday, 2nd game of a twin bill, 5th inning. B.J. Upton solo shot off John Garland. And then on the next pitch, Justin Upton goes deep. The 2nd pair of brothers to hit back-to-back home runs in baseball history. You have to go back to the 38 Pirates, Lloyd and Paul Wainer.
Big poison was Lloyd. Little poison was Paul. I hope you don't think this is self-serving, but Paul Wainer was my first hitting coach in 1959 in Keokuk, Iowa. Joyce Park that held 800 fans. That's a fact.
21 years after he and his brother Lloyd went back-to-back.
Yeah.
Justin Upton, deep left center. Number 12 on the season. And yet another solo shot for Justin. His 11th, extending his record for the month of April. 11 solo home runs, 12 in all. He pulls the Braves to within a run.
We said it was must-see TV in Atlanta. That looked like a split from Benoit. And it's interesting how pitchers express their discontent when a hitter hits a home run. Benoit very upset.
So it's a 1-run game as Freddie Freeman swings and misses, 0-1. 12 home runs for Upton. Bryce Harper hit his 9th today. In the history of baseball, Tim, 3 players hit 12 solo home runs in a month. Any month, not just April. 12 solo home runs in 1 month is the record. Justin Upton has hit 11. As Freeman singles into center field. And those 3 players were Babe Ruth in May 1928, Mickey Mantle in May 1956, and Mark McGwire in May of '87. 12 solo home runs in 1 month. Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Mark McGwire, Justin Upton, 1 shot.
1956 was Mickey Mantle's Triple Crown year, I believe.
With Freeman on at first and 2 outs, Chris Johnson takes ball 1. Johnson 0 for 3 today.
There's a real difference in 1 and 2 runs in the late innings. Now with 1 run, the Tigers up by 1. Miguel Cabrera has to play the line at third base. Before the Justin Upton home run, get a 2-run lead. Things change.
Center field, Austin Jackson. Middle of the 8th in Detroit. Justin Upton with his major league leading 12th home run of the year, pulling the Braves to within 1. Lowe's, never stop improving. And by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Bottom of the 8th in Detroit. Third pitcher of the game for the Braves, the left-hander Luis Avilan, facing Don Kelly, batting for the first time. Kelly just 2 hits in 21 at-bats this season.
One move preceded another. Kelly put in left field for defensive purposes, and that's why Freddie Gonzalez brought in the left-hander to face the left-handed hitter Kelly, followed by the left-hander Avila.
Chris Medlin, the Atlanta starter, went 5 1/3, allowed 5 runs on 10 hits. Jordan Walden, nice job out of the pen, retired all 5 Tigers he faced with 2 strikeouts. And now Kelly leading off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Looking ahead, the Braves will have Gaddis, B.J. Upton, and Francisco Duel in the top of the 9th. Kelly into the right field corner. It drops in. Extra bases for Don Kelly. Only his 3rd hit of the season in 22 at-bats. It's a leadoff double here in the bottom of the 8th.
Don gets jammed with a fastball inside. Does not hit it well. Interesting, after making the turn, he picks up third base coach Tom Brookins. And with nobody out, watch his head. He goes from looking at the ball down the right field line to picking up Brookins to stopping at second. You may see a bunt here. Not bad strategy with nobody out. Try to pick up an extra run here in the 8th inning. Braves are looking for it.
It's Alex Avila at the plate. Luis Avilan on the mound. For Don Kelly, Tim, his first extra base hit since last July 15th.
The Ides of July. American League hitters are called upon so seldomly to bunt that the strategy may be for it, but the execution is lacking.
Avila with 6 career sacrifice bunts in his career. In over 400 games, only 6. Five 4 Tigers, bottom of the 8th inning. Nobody out. Kelly, the runner on second. And the bunt is caught in foul territory by the third baseman Johnson for out number 1.
Barrel of the bat is below the ball. The ball's going to be bunted in the air. Watch the barrel of the bat. You drop that barrel, you're going to hit the top half of the bat. The ball goes in the air. You're only given 27 outs over the course of 9 innings. And that's why American League managers, because of the designated hitter, they just don't like the bunt.
So now 1 out. Here's Infante. Hit that 2-run shot back in the 4th inning and then singled in the 6th. 2 for 3 today. And 9 for his last 20. Nothing in 2. Austin Jackson waiting on deck. Kelly, the runner on second. 1 out. Infante awaiting the 0-2 from Avila. 1-2 missing low. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Earlier in the game, we talked about 2-strike hitting and about how good Cabrera is. Omar Infante, also a guy who shortens up his swing with 2 strikes and tries to poke the ball the other way. He's learned a lot from Cabrera playing with it. Like that. That's not a swing, that's a punch. You know those words of adjustment all the time. That's what experienced hitters, guys like Infante, do with 2 strikes. They think the other way. Avilan wants to talk to Gaddis, and you might say, well, if he's thinking the other way, why not throw the ball inside? Well, not coincidentally, that's the time to jam hitters. The best time to jam hitters is with 2 strikes, particularly if you're dealing with an experienced guy who likes to go the other way with 2 strikes.
The 2-2, and Infante rips it into the left field corner. Kelly rounds third. He scores easily. Infante in at second. Drives in his 3rd run today, his 8th of the year. Tigers now lead 6-4.
Yeah, even though you're shortening your swing, it doesn't mean you can't pull the ball. The pitch is inside. Infante pulls a double down the line, his 2nd extra base hit. He is a good ball player. Revered by his teammates. He can play.
He has a single, a double, and a home run today. Austin Jackson takes ball 1.
You love to see guys play the game who maximize their ability, and that's what Omar Infante does. Gets the very most out of what he has.
Austin Jackson 2 for 2. He's also walked, and a sacrifice in the 6th inning. Jackson spent 5 years in the Yankees organization, part of the Curtis Granderson deal. Trade that helped both clubs. Infante goes. The throw down to third is not in time. Infante steals third base.
Infante almost went the pitch before. With the lead, you take more chances. He may have been out. Watch the glove. He's out. Not may have been, he was out. Good time to try it, and now the infield must be drawn in. That, by the way, a perfect throw from Gaddis and a quick tag by Chris Johnson.
First steal of the season for Infante. Stole 17 bases a season ago.
Here's that quick throw by Gaddis. The gloves between the foot and the base. He was out.
And after a walk to Austin Jackson, Freddie Gonzalez out to the mound. That will be all for Luis Avilan. batters he faced here in the 8th inning. Runner on third, Infante. He's had a big day. The Tigers 6 through 9 hitters, bottom 4 in the order, 6 for 15, a pair of 2-run homers. And now Corey Guerin, who is not allowed to run in 12 appearances this season, on to face Torrey Hunter with runners on first and third and only 1 out.
Corey Guerin has done a very good job for Atlanta thus far this April. Has that unusual set. Almost looks stiff, but that's just his natural way of coming set. Good sinker to Hunter.
First and third, 1 out. Hunter pops it up to the right side. Uggla moving to his left. Now 2 away. Time for the King Plays of the Game, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king. Rick Porcello bouncing back from the shortest outing of his career last Saturday. Porcello went 6 1/3, about 3 runs on 5 hits, all 3 runs coming in the 3rd inning, in line for his first win of the season. Here's Miguel Cabrera. He takes strike 1 from Guerin. Braves with Evan Gattis, B.J. Upton, and Juan Francisco due up in the top of the 9th. Tigers with a 6-4 lead. One and one on Cabrera, who is 1 for 4 today. Drove in a run back in the 3rd inning, extending his hitting streak to 11. One and 2. Tigers with a run of the inning on 2 hits and a walk, a pair of doubles, Kelly and Infante. Infante, the runner on third, the 1-2 pitch, center field, and it's off the glove of B.J. Upton. Infante scores. Moving to third is Jackson. Second RBI of the game, 23rd of the season for Cabrera. It is now 7-4 Detroit.
Remember our conversation before the game, and we both were talking about how B.J. Upton gives himself a chance to make plays like this because he plays so shallow in center field, and normally he sucks that ball up. It's going to be a hit, but I think even B.J. would give himself an error on that ball. He normally catches that ball in his back pocket. Not too many center fielders in baseball is that even that high off the ground when they try to make that play, but that's normally a ball that B.J. catches.
Ground ball to the right side, off the bat of fielder. Freeman steps on the bag. Tigers score 2 in the 8th. We head to the 9th. Gattis, B.J. Upton, Francisco. 3-run lead for Detroit. Valverde had his contract purchased from Single A Lakeland on Wednesday and pitched a scoreless inning against the Royals on Wednesday night. We take you back to the 2012 postseason.
Can't tell you how painful it was for not only Valverde, but Tiger fans, Jim Leland, Jeff Jones. And here he is again, his second shot at trying to save a game. He did have a save this week against Kansas City on Wednesday night. So Jose Valverde back in a Tiger uniform, even though it's a retro uniform. But never has a postseason been as painful, and someone given another chance with the same organization. Maybe it was somebody else, but it's very surprising to see Valverde back in a Tiger uniform.
Strike one to Evan Gattis. Since 2007, most saves in all of baseball. You saw Dave Dombrowski, 227 saves. Now, part of that due to the Mariano Rivera injury, did not pitch most of last season. But Valverde with one more than Jonathan Papelbon since 07 as Gattis falls behind 0-2.
Yeah, and plus, Kenny, I think a statistic like that disguises what really happened last year in the postseason. It makes it less effective than it would be normally, because it was horrible last year, and every Tiger fan remembers it too.
And Tiger fans also know that at the start of this season, it was bullpen by committee here in Detroit.
Right.
A look at the numbers. 4 of 8 in save opportunities. Four different Tigers have those 4 saves. Gattis gets a piece of it. Great job by our entire crew today, led by our producer Jeff Gowan, director Jim Lynch, associate director Eric Billigmeyer, associate producer Andy Kavanaugh, our technical producer Matt Benedict, technical director Simon Panazra. Pre-game show produced by Ethan Kleinberg, directed by Mark Deaver. Ben Bowman crunching the numbers along with Mark Seguro. So thanks to our entire Fox crew here in Detroit. The 1-2, Gattis got a piece of it.
First split of the game thrown by Valverde, and I don't think he threw any splits on Wednesday night when he got his first save of the season against Kansas City.
Gattis 0 for 3 today. Here's the 1-2 from Valverde. Foul back to the screen. Tigers scoring 2 big runs in the bottom of the 8th inning after Justin Upton hit yet another solo shot for the Braves in the top of the 8th, pulling Atlanta to within 1.
That's a good point, because if it's still a one-run ball game, you wonder if Jim Leland would have gone to Valverde. But now it's a perfect opportunity, because he would still get a save if he gets out without giving up 3 runs.
But has a bit of a cushion. Long run in right for Torrey Hunter, makes it look easy, 1 away. He pitched 1 inning on Wednesday night. 2 of his 3 outs for deep fly balls. Picked up the save, his first of the season. So with 1 away, here's B.J. Upton, who is 0 for 3 lifetime against Valverde. Has 1 hit in 3 at-bats today. Nothing in 2. The BJ stands for Boss Man Jr. His father, Boss Man Sr., a longtime college basketball official. Boss Man Jr. down on strikes. Braves down to their final out.
Fastball from Jose Sr.
And now the fans rise to their feet. 42,881 here at Comerica Park as the Tigers look to make it 2 in a row over the Braves. Last night it was a 17 strikeout performance by Anibal Sanchez. Today, the bottom of the lineup, Johnny Peralta, the number 6 hitter, Omar Infante, the number 9 hitter, each with a 2-run home run in support of Rick Porcello. Braves began the year 12-1. A loss today would be their 7th in their last 10 games since that season opening 12-1 stretch.
Now, in fairness, the Braves have played a lot of games on the road. They're in a stretch where they play 16 of 18 games on the road. You can do well early in that stretch, but it's starting to wear on them, I think.
They played only 8 at home. This their 15th on the road. Pitching matchup tomorrow night. Doug Fister 3-0 for the Tigers. Mike Minor 3-1 for the Braves, who are now down to their final strike. One and 2 on Juan Francisco. That will do it. Valverde strikes out 2 in the 9th, his 2nd save. First win for Porcello. Tigers over the Braves 7-4. For Tim McCarver and our entire crew, this is Kenny Albert. Now to the MLB Network studios for post-game coverage. Take it away, Matt Vasgersian.